welcome to the Bar Talk Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jordan Shabbat, joined once again from my senior citizen scriptwriter, doesn't want to be known as my assistant or my secretary, Karl, Heine of the New World Tavern.
Key grip would be fine.
Key grip, best boy grip, Dan Mahoney joining us as well.
Hello.
All right, and we had such a fun time on our Q&A podcast that we're going to do another one. This is the Q&A part 2, and yes, sorry Fish, sorry Andy, they're going to have to be in order now. But we have more questions from you guys, the listeners. We really appreciate it. It's been about a year we've been doing this now, and we've asked you guys 1,000 times for some questions regarding to the hospitality industry, and we are your focus group. So, Andy, take it away, buddy.
All right. We have a question from Kylie Ann McLaughlin. It says, I've been bartending for 3 years, and I'm searching for a bartending job and never have any luck finding one. No one ever calls me. My resume looks great, but I'm not sure what to do other than send a killer resume. Any ideas?
All right, so you're bartending, and you're looking for a bartending job. Wouldn't you already have the job bartending?
Right, she's already been bartending for 3 years. Why did she want to leave the place she's already at?
You guys are forgetting the most important facts. Bartending school, people think they're bartenders.
Oh, so she's been bartending at school maybe for 3 years?
Says she's been bartending for 3 years. You guys are
And she
adding-
can't get a job anywhere else.
We're making our own story up. Yeah. All right, here's the deal. So maybe she's trying to get a job that maybe. All right, I'm gonna paint a picture.
Maybe she works at the New World Tavern.
Maybe she's working at a place where she's like serving a lot of old people that get coffees and stuff. Like, and she wants to work at like a real bar, like late night.
So maybe it's like breakfast joint?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, correct. Maybe she's working at a breakfast joint. So what I would say is, her name was Kylie. Mm-hmm. I would say, Kylie, get into a place as a server, and let them know you're a bartender, but you're willing to be a server as well. Get your foot in the door that way. Servers, there's like, 4 or 5 on the floor in most restaurants. There's only usually 1 or 2 bartenders, unless it's a multiple bar place. Get your foot in the door that way, work really hard, and earn the trust of the manager. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with tending bar. They're not just going to throw someone off the street right on the bar. If they do, they get a reputation in town. They got a lot of good referral.
But you got to also remember, too, though, not a lot of places are big city places. So if she's from a small town and she wants a bartending job, there's a lot of bartending jobs that people have been doing for years and years and years. There's not a lot of opportunities.
You wait for someone to die?
Yeah,
you're going to wait for someone to die.
There's not a lot of opportunities to get that bartending job because there's just no openings because people are already there.
So go to that bar, have the bartender overserve you.
Are you willing to relocate?
Well,
go to Nashville. You get a job in a minute.
Let me pose a question to you guys. What to use a killer resume? Like, do you put a lot of stock in that? Because
3 years isn't really a killer resume on a bar. I'm sorry. Like, you can't. If you're at more than one place in 3 years, that's not a good resume. If you're at just one place in 3 years, then that's not really a killer resume either. So, I mean, what defines a killer resume?
that's what I mean. Like, I don't put a lot of stock in those. Like, what I probably do is, like you said, look at how many jobs you've had, how long you're at each job. If you're averaging 6 months per job, then probably don't want you. Like,
right. Yeah. Or if we do, we just don't know yet. You got to do something else to prove it to us that we do, right?
Find out why, and you got to get your references in order.
Get your references in order, and great. Get your foot in the door as maybe not something that's such a high leverage position.
No, I think doing
not only that, but
visit.
visit and patronage.
Yeah,
patronage. How about go to the bars that you really want to have a job at,
right?
And then make your face known and say, hey, listen, I'm always looking if you guys ever need somebody. And I think that's better than a resume because people say, oh, geez, I know she's a bartender somewhere, and we're looking. Hey, why don't you come on in? Because now they know that you know what their situation is because you're sitting there at the bar or having coming in for dinner, and I think it's more of a comfort thing for that owner to say, well, I know she's been here, so she knows what's going on. She knows the menu.
We haven't kicked her out yet. Right.
But
yeah, I agree.
I think it could be tough hiring a regular, so to say, like, because now you're hiring someone that's pretty much another customer that's there with all their friends.
Well, I wouldn't say a regular. I wouldn't say a regular, but I would say at least go. Yeah, be familiar with the place that you want to go to.
Yep.
Don't just send your resume out to willy nilly.
Well, no, and if you drop your resume at a bar or anywhere and you don't at least talk to someone, like often, like people leave resumes for me, and if I don't physically take them from you or talk to you, then I probably don't see them.
I agree. It's true. I guess I agree with Karl. Make your face familiar, not too familiar, because then we'll think you have a problem. You shouldn't be handling booze if you're at the bar every single day. But get familiar.
My first question for somebody that comes in, or applies, or it would be, what do you know about us? And if they say, well, I've never been in there before, it's dead. I'm done.
Correct.
Yep.
So why do you want to work here if you've never been here before?
Same thing as
you have no idea what's going on.
Someone asking for a donation. Have you ever been here?
That's
all
right.
Next question.
Part 3.
But yeah, so I guess the situation is, if somebody applies for a job at my place for a bartender, and they say, I've never been in there before, I don't care if they're been at 10 different places in 10 different years, and they have all the experience in the world, I'm like, well, why do you want to work here?
I agree.
You have no idea what we're about.
A good bartender is like 10% technique and I think 9% personality and reliability, character. So display your character. Go in there. It doesn't have to necessarily be there for an interview, but make yourself familiar. Pick one place you really want to work at and you feel like you could probably weasel yourself into. Not weasel, that's a bad word. Work yourself into and get to know the people there. And
But if they don't know the place that they're applying to, then they're just looking for a job. They're not looking, I love this place. I'd love to work here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True.
There you go.
Are you ready? All right. This one's from Andy
So
Ryan.
the answer is work somewhere else for a couple of years and then send out your resume. 3 years bartending is not a killer resume.
All right. So this one's from Andy Ryan. How would you all handle it if a bar guest bought a round for the bar but said out loud to exclude one of the patrons? This happened to me at an after-work spot tonight. I don't personally give a shit. I have my own money, and the bartenders there all know me. And if I wanted a free shot, I could get one. I was the only dude at the bar besides these 3 clowns that walked in. They wanted to buy a round for the 3 chicks at the bar, and when the bartender was pouring them, the one dude said, "No, not him. I'm not paying for his drink."
I tell you what, I wouldn't write an email to a podcast about it. I'm not gonna be an asshole.
I'm gonna tell you a story. I was down in Florida, and I was sitting at the bar, and it was happy hour, and there was some women, some guys, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, girlfriends. I don't know how it works. So I was actually with my parents, and they came by and gave my mother a drink. And my mother said, I didn't order this. They said, oh, no, somebody at the bar bought all the women at the bar a drink. And she said, thank you very much, that's great. Well, I didn't get a free drink, but I wasn't expecting it. But I was thinking, well, what a nice guy that guy was over there, that we all assumed who it was, and that said, you know what, just set up the bar for all the women, and I'd like to buy all the women at the bar a drink. So I've got no problem not buying people that a drink. I guess if I was to buy the whole bar a drink, but not that guy, that would be different.
Right.
But if there was 3 or 4 girls at the bar and a guy,
he was the one guy.
Yeah, and they said, I want to buy all the girls at the bar a drink, I'm okay with that guy not getting a drink.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If there's 4 of you in a bar, it's okay. If there's 24 of you and you're the 24th when they say no, there's something wrong with
if there's 24 people at the bar, I'm not buying anybody a drink.
Exactly.
But from the story he told you, is basically it was him and like 3 chicks at the bar. And the fact that he wrote an email to a podcast upset about it, I'm like, man, I'm glad I avoided buying that guy a drink.
First he said he
takes
wasn't
the shit
upset
way
about
too
it.
seriously.
He kind of buried that lead. Like it started off that someone came in and excluded one person.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. It started off like
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
and then
yeah.
as he elaborated, became there was 3 girls.
He
and
was
him.
the one person.
3 girls and him, yeah.
Right.
So-
It was basically a guy came in trying to have some fun
So,
and wanted to buy
Andy,
some
you're doing a
girls
great
some
job vetting out these questions. What's next?
Anything for you, Karl? Okay, so at your restaurant, do servers tip out the barback? We were told last night that servers have to. I've worked in the industry for 20 years. I've never heard of this. I need answers to go to my management with because that is what the barback is saying everywhere does.
Okay, I'm going to weigh on this one because this is a freshie at Speedwell, the barback thing. Yeah, all right. So it's complicated. So a barback comes in basically. It depends what your role of barback is. So our barback at the Speedwell comes in at 8 o'clock. Night bartenders start at 6. So he's already 2 hours after the bartenders come in. He goes in, he does dishes, he grabs beer for the bar. Now, for the most part, the barback, yeah, he's grabbing beers, he's doing dishes. He's doing the server's dishes. The server's dishes are coming to the bar, and he's doing them. But he's not going out onto the floor and grabbing dishes, from the girls' tables. He's not bussing. He's not bussing. He's not cleaning the girls' tables. He's not grabbing dishes. So it's a discretionary thing. In my opinion, the servers shouldn't be tipping the bar back.
Should or should not?
Should not be. The bartenders definitely should because they're getting tipped from the servers already.
Okay.
So the servers are tipping the bartenders for making the drinks with the glasses. Exact. So it's double dipping if the barback is expecting.
Well,
on the flip side of that, if he's running out onto the floor, sweeping up puke, broken glasses, wiping down tables, taking glasses from tables, is there a set rate? No, but those servers should be like, yo, that guy bailed me out tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw him a couple bucks.
Do you have a lot of puke and broken glasses?
Not a lot, but it happens. Only when you show
I guess another question that I think we're forgetting to ask is, are you paying the barback minimum wage?
Pretty much.
As a cook, or are you paying them lower as a tipped employee?
No, he's getting paid at the Speedwell. He's getting paid $10 an hour.
Okay.
It's only one night a week. It's 5 hours, 8 till 1, 8 to 1:30. Takes out the trash, does all that.
Yep.
And again, the servers are creating some of that trash.
I think if the barback is doing some of the responsibilities that the bartender should be doing, but doesn't have time to do, that's why you brought a barback in, then they should tip them up.
Absolutely.
The bartender should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about the servers? The people, the servers. Let's define server. Server is
the
waitress on the floor.
Correct.
Isn't making the drinks, just delivering them.
Bringing
think food out.
I think that if they're clearing tables and doing all that, which if you have a good barback and he's, there's
hustling.
Yep, they're hustling, and there's they brought up all the Bud Light they can bring up and doing all the dishes that they could do and doing all the glasses they could do, and there's a break and they go out there and they start cleaning tables. Then I think they should, maybe not as much, but
Right.
I think they should show their appreciation to say thank you.
Do you make it mandatory?
Exactly. But do you make it mandatory? Some places do. We do not.
No.
I would not.
Can you? It's always been a gray area when I worked. It's like, because I always hear it's illegal. You can't make someone tip someone out something. Because
Correct.
I've witnessed the battles between.
Be careful now. Legally, or is it policy? Because policy
or.
might be that
Once you sign,
you got to tip out X percent of your tips
Yep.
to everybody. Blah 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 blah. Legally, that's the question. I don't know what the answer is to legal.
so it's unless
question.
you sign it on like a manual or something like
But
that.
if you say here, sign this handbook that I gave you,
Yep.
and in the handbook says if you're a bartender, you have to tip out the bar back 5% of your sales. That's what they have to do.
Yep.
They signed it.
Nope, that makes sense. And that's why I misunderstood. I thought the person's question was the bartender not want to talk about the barback, not the server. So
I think it specifically said servers in the question, and that is a really good question.
But there's what we talked about in other podcasts was if you have a barback that just is servicing the bar, don't get that bar back. If they don't want to tip them out, don't get a bar back, get another bartender.
Get another bartender.
Yep.
Because I'll put 5 bartenders on and they can all deal with one seat. If I have a 5-seat bar,
Correct.
and they can deal with it.
You get better service. You're paying
That's right.
less per hour.
But don't complain when you have a lot of work to do, but you're making all the money for doing all that work.
I'm going to interject with this question from Maria Edmonds, who it's a related question, and it's kind of addressed in general, but as management, how do you handle bartenders when servers don't tip out well? So I'm sorry, it says how do you bar. So how do you managers handle when servers don't tip out well? Do you get involved in that?
Yeah, we have to set a standard, and so you went to the handbook thing. When we hire servers, make it very clear that I'll get to the weird sort of gray area shit after, but you got to tip 10% to the bar. You have to
10% of what?
your tips to the bar because they're doing all your dishes, they're making all your drinks.
So you do $1,000 worth of
Sales. You make $200
let's say
in
you make
tips.
$200.
You put
should
$20 to the bar. $20 to the bar because they're making all your drinks. They're
I'm not arguing. I'm just trying to get the
that's
numbers.
the standard.
Yep, okay.
And our rationalization
Okay.
is that they're making all the drinks. They're behind the bar because they've got seniority. They're making all the drinks. They're doing all the work. They filled up the ice bins. You know, they learn the menu. They're mixing the cocktails. They know the beer menu. You're, as a server, not to discount the position because you definitely need to have a good personality, need to know the menu, but you're essentially just delivering the things that everyone else in the building is doing. The cook is cooking the food, and you're bringing that to the table. The bartender is making or pouring the drink, and you're bringing that to the table. Not to say on another day you couldn't do the same thing, but on that day when you're a server, that's what you're doing. So basically, 75% of the work's been done for you before.
So this person that's asking the question, should there be a definitive number that you should do, or do you leave it up to the server to say?
You can't leave it up to the server because they might overtip for a little while. Eventually, you have to set the standard. A minimum. It has to be 10%, and that's the way we always looked at it. Was it has to?
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
So I guess I'll play devil's advocate. I sell $1,000. I'm on the floor. I sell $1,000. It was all food and drinks, and the drinks were all sodas.
Yeah, how do
All
you
comes
handle
out in the
that
wash.
during- how do you handle it during your daytime?
because the servers at my place serve their own sodas. The bartender doesn't do it.
Well, that's different.
Well, that I'm saying. So do I have to give 10% to my bartenders?
That's a situational thing. I would hope that the two human beings.
But in your place,
that would hope that the two human beings that are hired based on personality could handle that.
never
thing.
happened. So
Oh no, it's happened.
So in your place, would I have to, if I was that server,
Yep.
that didn't sell any alcoholic drinks, but still made $1,000 in sales,
Yep.
I made $200 in tips. Do I still have to give it $20 to the bar?
Yes, I would say yes. If it came down to the fact that those two can work that out, I would say yes. I would say absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say absolutely because I think 10%.
I said okay.
Well, I mean, it's my rationale. I got to explain myself.
No, I think policy is policy.
I think 10% is a low number
Because there's some
on all
servers
other
out there.
accounts.
There are servers out there that'll say, "Well, these are my sales, but these are my booze sales, and I'll give them a percentage of my booze sales."
No.
Booze sales.
I say absolutely not to that because they're not the ones changing the soda boxes down.
Listen,
it's not just that. It all comes out in the wash because then when it's the other way around and let's flip it and say they do $1,000 in sales and it's all booze. They're still tipping 10%.
That's correct.
And they're not grabbing the ice.
Right.
They're not washing the shakers. They're not doing any of that.
Right.
On top of taking care of the people that are already at the bar.
No.
So it all comes out in the wash in my
Do you, as the manager, handle that now? Do you take the money at the end of the night? Because you have a lot
So you
based on the honor
trust
system.
them to
Yeah.
do the right thing.
Well, nope. They got to put it in an envelope, a separate envelope. Their tip to the bar goes in a separate envelope
Yep.
to the bar,
Yep.
along with their sales when they cash out at the end of the night. When I deposit their cash out, read their entire slip, and I know what they tip the bar. So if it's not 10% of what their sales, like the project, so if say we lose 15% of what their total sales is as tips, if it's not even close to that number, then I know they're bullshitting. It's a shame we use the honor system. It's a shame that you gotta police it like that, but you do. You do.
Well, let's go to the devil's advocate again. If I'm a server and I don't do that much in booze, but I do that $1,000 in sales, wouldn't I want to keep my bartender happy anyway?
Correct. Because you want your drinks fast, right?
Greatest
You
friend
want
of
them
your
fast.
worst enemy. Right there.
Absolutely.
Well, here's a question. What does TIPS stand for?
What do you mean?
What does it stand for?
I don't know.
To ensure prompt service.
Oh, I didn't know that. Here we are on the Bar Talk podcast where we just get schooled.
But that's the point
That's
you're
why
just
he's
trying to
the
make.
executive producer.
No, it's true, and
You pay 20
essentially when you're a server, you're at the mercy of the bartender too. And not to mention, there's a lot of shitty bartenders out there that might be taking a long time, and you might feel like I did two.
Yeah, but
I
I'll
did
tell you
a-
what. If I ever had a bartender that was on purpose being a slow server or a slow drink maker to the
Right.
servers because they weren't tipping them out, I got problems not only with the server, but I got problems with that bartender.
Well, you go to the management when that happens.
That
And you
would
say,
be
I don't
me.
feel comfortable tipping out this person.
That would be
10% of my
me
sales.
saying, "Why are you? What's with these drinks? Oh,
Right.
well, if she tips me better, I'll give them faster. You're fired. You're fired. I'll get 2 more people in there."
Correct. I agree, because you're already in it for the wrong reasons.
That's right. That's right.
You're already doing
Because
it.
if $5 at the end of the night makes that much a bigger difference,
Thank
to
you.
You're in the wrong.
We're
business.
breaking it down by a tenth of like 100. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, relax. and that's the thing. I'm getting worked up over it. It's never an issue. It's at the end of the day, it's never
That's
an
right.
issue. Servers and bartenders, you hire people based on
Well, I
personality.
think the question was that maybe at that person's place it is an issue.
Yeah.
And if it is, you got bigger problems than you think you have.
Yeah, just get out of that place.
Yeah.
You're at the luxury though. If you work in a smaller restaurant, like I've worked, if you work in a bigger one, that's when you really have. You're just kind of filling,
Right.
and you don't have the luxury of like I can hire awesome people only.
Right.
Like so, if you work in with 40 different servers or something like that, you're gonna have.
You got to fix
So
it.
that's really what becomes the issue. It sounds like this person has.
Yeah, it's true.
And it is. You have to have the managers really police it because
Put together
That's
a
what they're
badass resume and try to get a job somewhere.
3 years experience.
3 years experience.
All right, our next question comes from Barbara Seville. My 15-year-old son recently started working as a dishwasher, and I'm worrying about bad influences, smoking, drinking, and worse. Any advice?
That's a toughie.
Yeah, because I mean, I know being a teenager and a restaurant/bar that I may have picked up some
Well,
bad habits.
you
too,
know,
so.
let's go back and say it all depends on the place that you work.
Yep.
If you have a 15-year-old son that you think is responsible and does the right thing, and they're working in a restaurant that you think is, a legit restaurant and they're nice people, and you got nothing to worry about. If your 15-year-old son is doing the dishes or barbacking at the worst dive bar restaurant in the world, and they're all druggies and smoking and doing all this, you got a big problem.
Yep.
So I think just like anywhere else, look at the place that your son is going to work. Don't just send him into a place to work, but know the place before you have him go in there and take the job.
I'm going to counter that a little bit because I think it's about position. So when you're, the restaurant industry in general, if you're a dishwasher, the people you see when you walk into a restaurant are usually the top of the pyramid, right? When you walk in as a customer. But the dishwasher is usually the bottom of that pyramid. And to get to that pyramid, you cross, so you go from manager, maitre d', whatever, bartender, server, da-da-da-da-da, and then you cook, chef, sous chef, cook, da-da-da, and once you get to the bottom of the barrel, it's whoever wants to wash the dishes after all those people come through. And it's and not to shit on the dishwasher, but the position itself is basically you are handling the excrement from all of those tiers of the restaurant
But
industry.
you could also work at a really nice restaurant and have a dishwasher that you might not have issues with because of the clientele that he's working with.
Right.
You could have a dishwasher at a different restaurant that you're like, ooh, I can't believe he's working there.
Of course.
So it all depends.
That's true.
It
You
all
can be
de-
pleased ahead of time.
Absolutely. It all depends on the situation that they're at.
But let's be honest.
Restaurant A is not the same as restaurant B.
I agree with that. But let's be honest. The bar where dishwasher is set doesn't get too high. And I started as a dishwasher, so I'm not like trying to discount it, but you have to start somewhere. And at the end of the restaurant industry, especially nowadays, where, Anthony Bourdain's, God rest his soul, stuff like that, like the Kitchen Confidential books he came out with, like the whole restaurant industry, people look at it as a vagrant industry now. It's this, you come up, it's almost like the military, like you're going to get hazed. You're gonna get run through the dishwasher. No pun intended. Like you're gonna, and like it's a gritty, dirty job. You are literally washing the dishes of hundreds of people that are coming to that place, and the chef's cooking for them. Like you are gonna get shit on. Like, and I agree with Karl. What he said, it's the character of the person taking the job in the first place, how they handle it. So, are you going to, is a kid going in there? Granted, it's not fair to a 15-year-old, but a kid going there 15 years old, yeah, you're going to absorb some of your surroundings, and you're going to want the camaraderie and it makes your life easier if you're just doing what you're told when you're there. But the smoking, the drinking, the bad influence stuff, a kid should know better where to draw the line.
That's it. You just gotta hope you raised
That's
your
right.
kid to make the right choice.
Right, and a kid's going to make bad choices too. And
Absolutely.
But is he going to recover from them and learn from them? Absolutely too. But
don't never put your child in a position where you're not comfortable
Correct.
with them working in that
Absolutely.
place.
Correct, absolutely. If that kid's coming home and he's overworked, he's mistreated, or if he's serving the client, you could tell by the clientele going into
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're dropping them off and you might get murdered out in the parking
Yeah,
lot. You don't want to work in there.
Absolutely. But I worked in restaurants my whole life, man, and let me tell you, every kitchen's almost the same.
Yep.
You get talked to the same way, and if you got a daughter, don't let her work as a dishwasher. That's all I'm saying. But it's just kind of how it is. I mean, I haven't worked in every kitchen in the world, but I've worked in quite a few, and that's the environment that they're in. But let me tell you, it'll teach you how to work hard. It'll give you, while that other ancillary shit that the smoking, the drinking, the weird stuff, the stuff you don't want to see your kids doing, they're gonna find a way to do it anyway.
Absolutely.
They're gonna find, at least
Right.
they're working. They're making a hard-earned.
If they're not
buck.
going to do it, they're not going to do it washing dishes.
At
If they're going to do it, they're going to do it when they're washing dishes.
Correct.
Plus,
So
at least they're making money to pay for their booze and cigarettes. So
correct. So, and that's the way I look at it. And we all go through bad phases. So, I'm telling you, dishwashing is one of the most unforgivable jobs, but it'll train you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
It'll absolutely. If you do that for a year and you can survive dishwashing in a busy restaurant for over a year, then you're going to be all set. You'll be all right. So, I salute the kid for having the job.
Next question.
He's chewing on his
We'll edit that break out. Eric Shin wants to know, how often do you eat or drink at your own business?
Wow, this is a
That's a good one.
issue. Policy at the New World Tavern says you eat before you come. Don't come to work hungry. I don't go to work hungry. But I will give you a shift meal, and that shift meal comes after your shift. I don't want to see anybody eating during their shift, and that is for the front of the house. Now, the back of the house is a little different because there's a lot of tasting going on. There's a lot of, hey, I'm going to try do this, I'm going to try to do that, a new product for this, or a new ingredients for this. It's a little different for the back of the house. But if a bartender comes in and says, I've been working for an hour, I'm going to put my meal in. No, everybody gets a break. And everybody gets a shift meal. But that shift meal is not to be eating while you're working. It's just...
I think the normal human being can go 8 hours without eating. Now, if they're on a double...
That's a whole other thing, because they can eat during their break. Even if they're on for 6 hours, you give them, a 20-minute break. If they want to order something from the kitchen and go out in the back room and eat it, that's fine.
Right.
But don't put it behind the bar and start nibbling as you're waiting on customers.
Right.
And don't come to work expecting that, well, I'm going to go to work and I work in a restaurant, so I'm just going to get a free meal. Mm-hmm. Eat at home, just like a regular job. Eat at home. You don't go to work and say, well, I'm going to, I got into work at 8 and now it's 9:30, but I'm really hungry, so I'm going to take my lunch break now and go out and eat. It's not the way things work.
Right, you got to cut Tiso off from those Fritos all the time.
They don't go bad that way. No, I thought this question was made more of how often do we go in and eat and drink at places when we're not working.
On our own.
Is that kind of where we're going?
I took it like Dan.
I just read it how it was written.
Yeah, because you won't, hopefully you're not drinking while you're working. So
managers or owners, how often do we
go into our own place?
Yes, when you're not working.
I think we're always doing that.
Yeah, that's a tough question because, if you're there 80 hours a week, you're going to be there a lot because
Yep.
you're going to be 80
gotta
hours
live.
a week. And you know what I mean? If you're there 20 hours a week, then you're probably not coming back because
Well, do you have the ability to clock out when you're not clocked in there? Like,
no.
Can you go in?
You're
and
always. That's the problem is
Always punched in.
if you have a couple of drinks at your own place, even when you're not working, you know, after your shift or day off or whatever it is, if you're the owner, you can go in anytime you want, and you have a couple of drinks with whoever you bring in with you, you're seen as drinking at your own place. And it's perception is reality by the customers that see you doing what you're doing. And if you have a couple of drinks at your own place and customers see that, they think you're always drinking at your own place.
Correct.
They don't
really
see you
relax.
on or off shift.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better
Yep.
myself.
They don't see you on or off shift. They see you there and drinking.
Correct.
Well, let me elaborate on their question in my own way. What do you do if you have an employee who's off the clock, drinking at your restaurant, and drunk? Like drunk.
Good one. Take care of it.
If that's the situation, then I would make a few comments and say, okay, now it's time to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And then next time they show up for work, I would say, hey, listen, I love that you work here. You do a great job. I don't mind if you come in for a couple of drinks and something to eat, but don't overdo it again.
What's
I
up?
want them to stay. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. Go
No,
ahead.
so I've had a situation like this where I had to. Well, we grounded this person, and they were forced to not come in. And it's hard because obviously we're just a bar. We don't have a restaurant. So if you're coming in, you're coming to drink. But I told them this person they couldn't come in for 2 months when they weren't working. Like they can come work their shift and leave. That's it. Just because it was becoming an issue, and so the next step was you can't come here at all. Like so,
Right.
you have to set that standard right off the bat. You can't really let it go build up before.
And again, you don't mind if people come in for dinner with their husband or wife or whatever it may be and have a couple of drinks and enjoy what you offer to people. But if they abuse it, then you say, thank you, but go spend your off
agree.
time somewhere else.
Yep.
I don't discourage them from doing it, though. I want them to know that.
But there's a lot of places that will not let
I
employees
know.
come and drink.
I'm
at
not
their
that
own place.
way.
I am not that way.
No,
either.
personally, I want them there, and I want them to sort of mingle with the regulars
Sure.
from the other side of the bar too. I
Yeah.
like that. It's sort of like meet the baseball players. You know, you
It's
go to
the
the
best
ballpark,
kind of
you get an
advertising you can
autograph.
get for that.
Like, I want them to do that, but when they get out of control and become a liability, I'm not gonna
And it's
feel
one
like
and
get
done.
the hell out of here. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna make sure they get home safe.
Yep.
And like you said, the next day, hey yo, just keep it in check or go to New World Tavern.
That's
next time
right.
you like.
But you know, it's one and done with us. If you come in and had a few too many, and I give you the speech, don't have a few too many again.
Ever
Because
again.
then I'm done. I'm
Correct.
done. And I don't care if it's I let them go because of what they've done there, but it's what they make my my business look like to other people.
correct.
So
I
you hold
agree.
them accountable all around, everywhere, or
All around.
No, it makes sense.
At the New World Tavern.
Yeah.
What about
If-
outside?
No, if
Ooh,
one
that's
of
a
my
good question.
if one of my employees goes out to another establishment across the street, down the block, or whatever it is, it's not my business.
What if they're sitting
That's why
there
he
falling
does
off their
that.
bar stool?
It's
in
not
a
my business.
New World Tavern shirt.
not
and
my business.
Jordan comes says something.
I
about
agree.
it.
It's not my business.
I
If they
agree
were
with
doing
that.
it at my place,
Yeah. I agree. You have to draw the line somewhere, right?
but
And
what
then-
they do on their own time that is not in my place has nothing to do with me.
And that's the thing. If you open up that door and you start criticizing them for what they're doing wrong outside there, they come to you with all their problems, and all of a sudden,
Right.
Yep.
And that's the thing. You open up that whole door, and you
Right.
can't do that.
Nope.
You have to draw the line.
Nope. It's
Once
like if I
it
was
becomes
working for a
personal.
corporate place, but I went out drinking and made a fool of myself at some bar, they're not going to say, well, you made a fool of yourself at a bar across the street. You
Right.
can't work here anymore.
Correct.
That has nothing to
I
do
wonder
with what
though. I
happens.
feel like that's if you're in uniform, no matter where you are.
If you're in uniform?
that's what I'm saying.
That's different.
What if you have that employee rocking out? I don't know what.
Well, then I would say if you're going out,
Yep.
Yeah.
go casual.
That's where you draw the line with it, though.
Don't represent
Put
the
it
New World
inside.
Tavern
Yeah.
when you go out drinking outside this bar.
Yep.
Throw the shirt inside out. Do
Right.
whatever you can.
Yep.
That's,
Right.
yeah.
makes sense.
No, it's good questions though. Yeah. No. Absolutely.
All right, what else we got?
All right, Jessica Dow, do you have auto gratuity on large groups? If so, how big of a party is minimum and how much?
We do it for anybody over one person, and it's 45%. No, we actually do not do that. And a lot of places do it. We do not do it. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because
I think a lot of places started doing away with it, though.
Yeah,
I know
we
a
got
lot of the
rid of
bigger chains and stuff
We got rid of it.
got rid of it.
we don't. We don't do it.
I'm going to tell you
And
why.
I can't tell you the reason why that we do or don't. Mm-hmm. We just never have, so it's never a real big issue with us.
I'm going to tell you why I don't. Because you're basically... All right, so a tip is voluntary. It is what it is at the end of the day. Everyone throws 15% around, but that's one of those like unwritten rules in baseball. Right. Like you don't know 15% came out of nowhere. So I don't understand where that number actually came from. So and then the one I'm seeing thrown around for bigger groups is 18% gratuity. So you're immediately assuming you're predetermining that server is going to be able to handle 8 to 12 to 20 people, and that she's going to be above the average, which is predetermined out of God knows where, 15%. So you're saying she's 3% better than the average, and that no matter how bad your services is, that you have to give 18% on that. I just don't think that's fair to the customer, nor do I think at the end of the day, the server too, at the end of the day, she should be earning that, and she could probably make more than that on a bigger table. Because I think most decent people out there, when they have a big party, especially if they walk into a smaller place like, mine or Karl's. Karl's dining area isn't huge. They walk in, and if they're accommodated correctly, given the situation, the layout of the dining room, they're going to be happy to tip more than 18 or 15%. So why almost tell the group that you don't trust them enough to tip right by pre-tacking on an 18% gratuity?
I'll take a different approach with you on this.
Cool.
I think it depends on two things: the size of the party, and if you're. I love going to places. If they're going to do it, it's very upfront. Like I've seen in places right in the front of the menu for larger parties of 10 or more. We do such and such percent like that. I think that's a good way to do it, because ultimately, you could fill this whole room we're in with 20 tables, and you could do nothing. You can get nothing for a night. You kind of get
right.
Plus, it also kind of in a large group like that, it takes a lot of the guessing out of it. So you don't have to worry about whether Karl wants to pay $5. Do you want to pay 10? I want to pay 15. It's when you have 20-something people. 20 people to get to agree on a certain thing can be a pain in the ass.
That's a good point.
But like I said, I think it's all within reason. Like it shouldn't be like, 4 people come in was automatically gratuity 18%. Like I think there's a way to do it, a right way and a crappy way to do it. So
I agree. That's a really good point.
But I think a lot of people, if you have big parties, sometimes they overtip because they don't realize that 18% is already on there. Like when me and my buddies go out and we go out with our wives, there's at least 4 people right there. That was a joke. But if there's a table of 15 or 20 of us...
It's funny now because it wasn't good.
So if there's 15 or 20 of us that go out to eat, and we don't do it that often, but if there's a gratuity that's already on it, they don't look at that. They say, the check's $1,000, everybody owes this.
Yeah.
And everybody says, okay, I owe that, plus here's the tip. So... that waitress is making
not the restaurant's
18%. No, it's not.
It's your fault.
Yeah. But it's where you go. It depends on where you go if they do it or not. So you don't. A lot of times you don't think in your mind they've already put that gratuity on.
Good point.
It could go the other way too, though. You get a table of people just drinking all night. It's like, it's $1,000. Everybody put it on there. Like so, I think it's a luxury to have, but like it doesn't have to be there.
It's going to be case by case.
I guess that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, I guess
case
I
by case, being restaurant by restaurant. I think.
No, but I think, and not to profile, but I think it's size of the party. Like Dan said, it's size. It depends on the size of the party in proportion of what you have space wise to offer. So Dan's point was, like he said, if this party comes in, takes up half your restaurant,
right.
And, you got 2 servers on, and that's like that whole server section.
Right, for the whole night.
Like, you want to make sure she at least makes 18% on that.
Right.
If you make it clear on your menu that parties over a certain may be...
Oh, yeah, that's fine, yeah.
I argued that, you're almost hurting maybe the waitress by kind of telling the customer you don't trust them to tip enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in that aspect, I kind of agree. I'd rather...
So what if the service sucked and they only want to pay 15%?
Well, that was my original point. Was like you're already telling the server if you can handle these 20 people, no matter what, you're going to get 18%.
Right.
And then she wings it. Hopefully, you have better staff. That's up to you to have better staff.
Let me play the asshole advocate.
Sure.
What if I don't want to tip at all?
What if you don't tip ever?
That's where it comes in.
Tipping's not mandatory.
It's correct. That's a really good point.
But that's where it comes into being upfront on your restaurant policy. If you don't want to tip at all, then you find another restaurant to go to.
Correct.
And that's what I think they do that now, where it's on the menu where it says
Because it says they will
if
be
you're
charged.
upfront. So if you don't read that part or you don't see it's already on there, so you've had all the warnings on it. So a lot of places do that now.
Right. A party at 204 that just says I'm from wherever and we don't tip is one thing, but a party at 20 that doesn't tip and takes over 4 or 5 tables in your
It
restaurant
sits there for 4 hours.
disrupts your entire, not just the server's day,
Kill your
but your
kitchen,
entire
Yep.
your kitchen speed. Thank you, everything. So, to counter asshole.
I just think as long as it's up front.
That's a really good point
think
though,
that's
because it is optional, and you are essentially now. Is it legal? Can you do that?
Now I heard, and this is all hearsay from some random person on the street, that they were looking to do away with it. So that's
Yeah,
why I think a lot of restaurants have dropped it.
Right. Because you
but
can't legally force someone to pay for something
right.
Yeah.
that a service they didn't receive.
But I also
You're
think-
basically charging people extra money for what's not on the menu.
Correct.
Unless you
Because
put
they
it on
came
the
with
menu.
other people. Right.
So
Because they
that's
brought
right.
more sales to
Right.
the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yep.
And essentially, the tip is percentage. It's gauged on percentage of the sales.
Right.
So if they're bringing theoretically more people to the restaurant, it's a percentage ratio. Like it's already inflated. Why are you?
So the answer to that question is we're not sure.
We have no
Yeah.
fucking clue.
Well, I just want to make sure that it's,
It's
clear
complicated.
that I was just playing the asshole advocate. I always tip 5% whether it's deserved or not. All right, so okay, guys, I need some help. This is kind of a long one,
Oh,
so bear
boy.
with me. Our sink stinks. Every day I come in, I spray the glass washer brushes. We have an automatic with Clorox bleach spray, wipe down the sinks, and pour bleach down the drains. Then I rinse everything well, and it tends to keep the smell down for a bit, but a few hours later, it's back. Twice a week, I scrub everything down with soft scrub and a Brillo pad. Our bar is old, so it may be something in the plumbing. If the smell drives me nuts. I call it beer slime smell, but I'm not sure how to explain it. We don't serve food, so we aren't really limited to which products we can use. Any suggestions? Are there any bar cleaners to take care of this? Bleach and cleaning just don't seem to take care of it.
You, my friend, have a leak in your drain trap. And what happens there is, and it's happened at an old bar I've worked at before, so drain pipes are set up like a big U, so there's always a barrier of water, so the smell from the sewer, wherever your drain water is going, doesn't come through that water and up. Now, I had a couple bad floor drains at a bar I worked at, where the pipes were always dry because there was never water on the floor at these particular drains, and the pipes cracked. So we would have to pour water down these drains to put a water barrier. When the water dried up, which it did often because, like I said, there was never really water on the floor in these particular areas, the stink would come up through that U in the pipe. So you need to call a plumber is what you need to do because
Well, I think
you got cracks in the pipes.
no, I think you're what you say is 100% correct. I don't think that's what she's asking. She didn't say it smelled like sewer. She said it smelled like yeast and beer.
She said she said it's hard to explain. She called it beer slime smell.
Beer slime. No, so
but
it's not.
well, she doesn't serve.
But you're 100% correct.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't
You're
serve.
100% correct on what you said.
okay, so maybe I misunderstood.
But I think the smell is not a sewage smell. The smell is a
She
beer.
said she just said it's hard to explain. So it could be. It may not be.
It
I
could
mean,
still be floor
it's not a
drains.
scratch and sniff email, Carl.
They should invent that. We should.
No, they should not.
Yeah, so pour some water down your pipes.
Yeah, I would say
Call a
make
plumber.
sure, and if not, yeah, call a plumber because it sounds to me like your drain traps are drying up quick,
Right.
Which means you probably have a crack somewhere or a break somewhere in the pipes, drain pipes, whether it be your sinks. If you have draft beer, you said you didn't serve food, but if you have draft beer, wherever that beer is draining, there might be a break in your hose somewhere. But it sounds like the air that should be trapped somewhere, there should be an air gap in your plumbing, is not there. So, good luck with
So
that.
pour water down your drains. It'll.
Whisper sweet nothings.
well,
to
it sounds like she's doing that, but the water
No,
is
she
not.
said just clean
She
it.
said just
bleach
cleans it and
So
bleach
it
Oh,
might
yeah.
not be enough.
No,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
put enough. Just
Yeah,
keep the
I mean,
water running.
Put like 2 gallons. down.
Yeah, keep the water running.
Yeah, just
Right.
2 gallons of water down each drain, and it'll cause that backflow not to come up.
All right, so there's another long one.
Oh, Jesus.
This one is there's no name on this one. Oh, Deborah. Sorry, it's at the bottom. So I've been bartending for over 20 years and have worked both coasts in every venue possible, and she has a kick-ass resume, and never encountered anything like this. I am on the opening team for a new restaurant bar to open next week. We were informed during the training classes tonight that not only are all bartenders on the 2 bars tip pooling, we were told about pooling upon hire, and I'm fine with that. But we don't get to go home with our tips. Management will divide them and put them into our paycheck every 2 weeks. Of course, I've worked places where that is how credit card tips are dispersed, but never, ever heard of anything to turn over everyone's cash tips at the end of a shift and wait for payday to get them. Is this something new I'm not aware of? Thanks, Deborah.
What do you think?
Man,
Absolutely.
That was a really long one.
I think that's a good question. And there was a place in our neighborhood that did the same thing, where they would pool all the tips, credit card and cash, and put it in your paycheck. That's the way things should be done. Because now Uncle Sam's getting his cut. We're not paying taxes as a business for unclaimed tips that you're making that maybe you forgot about. But yeah, that's the way it should be. Is it the way it's usually done? No. Usually you take your cash and credit card tips out in cash on a daily basis before you leave. And then the employer then claims it on your payroll, depending on what you claim for the cash. We have the credit cards, but depending on what you claim on cash, they put it on your payroll. So is it unusual? Yes. Is it against the law? No. Because what you're doing is you're making a paycheck with your tips, and they're paying you that amount. They're just not paying you until you get your paycheck.
Like anyone else that works a bi-weekly payroll job.
Right.
It's a weird way to get paid.
It's a weird way to get paid.
Like you said, it makes sense.
It's more legit than the way that taking your tips home.
You got to be able to trust the person counting the cash.
That's another thing too. But ultimately, you got to think
not counting the cash, claiming the cash.
Yeah.
Well, they count your money too, though, right?
No, because if you make $1,000 in cash and you claim 15% tips, how do I know that you didn't make 20?
Oh, you don't.
That's right. Now, if you're pooling the tips and you're getting tipped at, you're not getting tipped out on a regular basis, but you're getting tipped out in your paycheck, then you're getting tipped on 100% of all your tips because
Tax on it.
Tax-wise,
Yeah.
because that's what the company is saying. Okay, we have this amount spread out between these many people, and this is what you get, and that's in your paycheck, which then is then taxed.
Yep.
So it's not a guessing game, and it's not I only made 15% tonight, not 20, or I only made 10% tonight, not 15.
Yep.
The owners of that restaurant then know, or the bar that then know, because they have the money in front of them. So yeah, it's not illegal. It's uncommon, but it's
in a positive aspect of it, and it's no bartender or waitress would ever want to hear this, but doing it that way is going to help you not owe $1 million at the end of the year when you do your taxes. You often hear so many people that don't put their money away.
That's correct.
They don't put anything aside to pay that big tax that you're going to hit, and then they're like, oh, I don't have any money because I owe $5,000 for what they didn't take out of your paycheck. So
Right.
it's uncommon, but there's probably benefits to it.
It's one of those things where the culture of like accepting tips, like you forget that, oh shit, like
That's money that you got to pay taxes on.
You're still gonna easily like a third of that is gonna go
Out of sight, out of mind.
out of sight, out of mind, and that's part of being an adult. And I have a lot of people like where they really just started cracking. I'll be honest, like they really just started cracking down over the last 3 years, and we were maybe a little bit more careless. We were making sure they were claiming, but we weren't like to the cent. And we're really not still. It's hard to be to the cent, but you got to be as legit as possible.
Right.
The credit card sales are there.
Right.
They're on document,
Yep.
and the total amount of sales are there, and they're assuming you're making like I said, that hard number, that 15% in tips on those cash sales. So if you're not claiming something close to that, then they're coming after me. And then they're going to be like, well, where'd all this extra money go? You know? And that's how I had to explain it to my staff. It's like, hey, guys, listen, like, we had a free ride for a little while, but it's time to be adults. Like, this is how it's done. Taking the cash into a back room, counting it off and dispersing it. I don't know if I would ever be able to do that personally. That's a weird sort of thing, but it might be the direction we're heading in.
Right.
All right. Pat McCann wanted to know if you guys have any advice to give someone who wants to open their own restaurant or bar.
That's a good
Advice on what?
Opening their own restaurant or bar.
Think long and hard.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have no time on your hands,
Listen, if you want to make a small fortune, take a big one and open a bar.
that's it. I got nothing. That's beautiful.
That's pretty
that about
good.
sums it up. No, dude. I mean, all right. I guess I'll touch
It's
on
all in what you want to do.
it. Right. And if I'll tell you what, right now, could I make more money probably working for someone else's bar? Probably right now. But it's not about that. I make my own schedule. I like having a place to be proud of. I got, wife and kid now, and I'm like, this is ours. This is our thing. I'm not the only owner of Speedwell, but I'm the working owner, and, I'm lucky enough to have partners that kind of let me do what I do. So getting to that point, I would say, find a spot. This is how I did it. Find a spot you believe in. Work for people that you like. Find a spot you believe in. You like what they're doing. Hopefully the people that own it are good people. Work really hard for them. Get close to them. Do whatever above and beyond every day. And maybe eventually when they want to expand or get rid of the place they're in because they've had enough, because trust me, you'll get there too, you'll have your chance to cut in.
But be in the business before you decide you want to be in the business.
Correct. That would be my advice.
Don't be a tow truck driver and say, I want to open a bar.
You won't.
You just because you go to bars a lot doesn't mean you can run a bar, open a bar. There's a lot more to it than you ever think.
Unless you're a tow truck driver that tows around restaurants all the time. I'd be fucking cool.
Tow around a restaurant?
Yeah, I don't know. Like a food truck, like tow truck. That'd be cool. Like a food
Why
truck.
would you have a food truck that had to be towed?
It's not a good food truck, Jordan.
I don't know. I'm just trying to find
Actually, you should listen to the Inebriate podcast where we interview Mom on the Go food truck, and you'll know why you need a food truck towed. We cover that.
tease.
Nice plug.
Thanks.
I liked it.
Was there another
All
question?
right, next question. We're
Sorry,
doing well.
I was plugging the podcast. Shut up. All right. I'm gonna save that one for last call. Oh, here's a one that all customers fear. Have you ever dropped food on the floor and served it?
No.
No.
Do people?
Hopefully not.
I don't know if people do it, but if they did, put it this way: if it ever happened to my place, they'd be gone.
Am I gonna be the only guy that's fucking honest over here? All right, I'll do it. It's not at a place I've owned, but that's a loose-ended question. Is it before you cook it? Is it after you cook it? What kind of food are we talking? Because let me tell you, I've worked in restaurants where it's super fucking busy, and you grab a chicken breast real quick and you drop it on the floor, and it's like, it's a raw chicken breast. You rinse it off real quick, and you fucking... It happens. I'm telling you. You guys want to go out to eat and you want to cook your own fucking food? I'm telling you.
Listen,
go out,
it may happen to the places that you go, but at the place that I own, it doesn't happen.
At the place I own, it doesn't happen.
And if it
I just
happens
clearly
and I
said
don't
that.
know about it,
Carl, I'm going to tell you right now, it happens.
I'm telling you right now, it does not.
Not when you're there, but it happens. It happens everywhere. It does.
It happens in my kitchen.
Yeah.
If I drop food on my floor, I'm going to wash it off and cook it.
Man. Dude, kids are eating off the floor as soon as they can chew. It fucking happens, man. Like, do I... At Speedwell, am I aware of that happening? Absolutely not. Do I think it happens? Probably. Like, I'm sorry.
Next question.
I fucking love my cooks, but I would say maybe 1 out of 1 million meals sold, you probably get something that touched that floor.
All right.
Just be honest, man.
It's honest. So this will be the last call.
Last call.
Let's go.
And what is the most annoying things customers do / say to you while you're bartending?
Let's go. Let's go.
No. And I think I speak for everybody when the phrase starts like, you know what you should do.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know what you should do.
The moment those words come out of your mouth, I have stopped listening to anything you have to say.
It could be.
I owe a tow
you
truck
know what?
company,
You know
and
what
I
you
have
should
a
do.
really good idea for.
You know what you should do? You should serve Chinese food here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not a
should do
Chinese food
Salisbury
restaurant.
steak.
No,
That's really
you'd make
good.
a
I
killing.
like it.
You know what you should do. You know what you should do, and it's from putting curtains on the windows to not putting curtains on the windows. It's the most annoying thing.
That was a recent one, huh?
And people
Happened today.
really think that they're giving you good advice.
Right.
But there's 100 people that come in a day, 1,000 people that come in a week. I don't want to hear it.
Captain Hindsight. It's that classic fucking, I don't feel like doing it, but I think you should do it. I didn't feel like opening up a restaurant, so I came to yours and told you what you should do with yours. And again, I'm not saying it's the only walk of life where that happens, but what other business, I will say this pretty confidently, what other industry do you walk in and spend a half hour talking to the people taking care of you? And then like with the Food Network, it's just like, dude, like the people that come in, they interact with you for so long, and like they probably go out to a lot of restaurants because that's what they enjoy to do. So they think they know. Man, dude, it's the most defeating thing.
Yeah.
You know what you should do.
You know what you should do? You should give away free beer. You get a lot more people in here.
You're not wrong.
Yes, I would, but I'd be out of business because nobody's paying.
Dan, can you think of all you know what you should do that you maybe?
Well, it's like you wouldn't go to a
Cooler
mechanic
than
and tell
Doritos?
him like, "Hey, you know what you should do."
That's a really good fucking point.
I mean, I know, like I said, I could tell you examples, but I don't, because as soon as you say, you know what you should do, I'm not listening to you anymore.
That's
Like,
right.
It's just the day you learn to do that as a bartender or a manager or anything like that, like if you're not the most decorated scientist of bar owning, then I don't care what you have to tell me to do. Like, if it's a great idea, we probably would have done it.
We should
Like,
find a decorated scientist.
The worst,
and see what Dan
the
does.
worst thing ever. The worst thing ever is when somebody comes up and starts a sentence. You know what you should do,
You know what you should do?
and usually it's the guys that come in every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
They think they're helping. They think
Yeah.
they're in.
And that's the
they
worst
get
part
the-
is like they might be
It's
the
your
most
regulars.
like, well-mean
The regulars
person,
come
but-
up. You know what you should do.
Yeah, I saw this on the internet the other day. You know what you should do?
Hey, you should have
Ketchup
outdoor
pizza.
You should have outdoor seating.
Yeah, Salisbury.
Yeah, I know, but I don't have any outdoor real estate.
You should work on that. You should
Yeah.
talk to the town.
Well, I'm just saying, if you did, you'd get a lot more people.
Oh, I love it.
You have
should
a
really
roof,
take the
don't
building
you?
next door and make a kitchen.
Oh my god. You know what you should do?
Yeah.
When Speedwell too. Oh my god.
Yep.
Yes, I'm getting stressed out even talking about that. So that this is a definitive, all-around agreed answer.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something that super irritated me that a customer did at the New World Tavern. It was jamming busy, like too deep at the bar, and I was waiting patiently for service, and I definitely wasn't next. But this woman like jumps up. We're before him. What kind of IPAs do you have?
Yep.
that would have been
It's
second.
it's like I knew what I wanted. She could have given you a beer menu and like
Or you get the people that
Yeah.
come up to the bar and they're waving down the bartender. They're waving. Finally, the bartender comes over and they say, "Can I get? Hey guys!" And they look
Yeah.
behind them. Hey guys, what do you want? You just flag me down. You don't even know what you want. I'll be back.
The fact that like he said that, and then immediately you and I went right to that. Like that's how common that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. I hope like enough people are starting to get the gist that like there is a bar etiquette. Like it is hospitality. At the end of the day, we're here to serve you. We are, but come prepared. Like it's like buttoning your pants. Like please, like just like know what you want to order before you rush to a bar and cut everybody in line.
I gotta wear pants now.
No, you don't have to.
All right.
Especially if it's
well,
if it's
You
a
know.
slow Tuesday night and you're sitting at the bar. That's a whole different subject.
correct.
But if there's too deep at the bar and you're trying to flag somebody down and And then you say, you know, what do you have for IPAs? Well, here's the beer menu.
Good point.
I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Right.
Well, then you get the people like, no, I don't want a menu. What do you, like, no, read this. Like,
Right.
I don't have time to tell you 30 things right now.
Right. Or you get the people that say, well, pick me out a beer. Your choice. And then you pick them out, they're like, well, I'm not paying for this because I didn't like it.
Yep.
So I tell my staff, no. You do not pick out anybody's beers for anybody.
No.
They pick them out.
Yeah.
You can describe a beer for them. You can suggest a beer for them, but you don't pick and say, okay, I'll pick you out a beer, because if they don't like it, they're gonna say, I didn't order it.
Right. And that yeah, it's so much gray area there. You got any more?
Yeah, I probably have another one. I mean, that was last call, but I mean,
That was the last call.
Oh, that was last.
Wait! No, you want another one? I'm gonna give you another one.
One last question.
All right,
Last
let me
question.
see. Give me a second. All right, this one. See, I kind of saved that one because I thought it would be good.
You knew Jordan would get fired up.
Yeah.
I didn't get that fired up. I got more.
You
fired
were a
up
little
about
fired
that.
up.
You got a little.
All right. You know
All right. So this is from Lindsay Doyle. I don't know if it's going to be as good to end on. And
It's okay, Lindsay. We still like
so,
you. Thanks for listening.
what's your secret to keeping customers coming in? What have been some of your most successful promotions, and where did they originate?
Ooh, I like this. This is a good last call, actually.
All right.
We'll all do our own thing. Start
All right.
off with Karl.
Last call, Karl Heine, New World Tavern, or if you're ever in Plymouth Center, come on down. And I would say the biggest reason you can have for bringing people back is hospitality. You can serve the best food and have jerks work for you, people aren't coming back. You could have the worst food and have the best people working for you, and people will always come back. So it is...
Where's that?
It is the hospitality in the hospitality industry. If you can get somebody in there that you want to go to see so-and-so every Thursday night, you're going to go see that person because that's what you want to do.
It's true.
So that's how I get people coming back. I don't work much.
I guess we'll keep it going. Counterclockwise, I'll go. Yeah, I agree with Karl. The nice thing about Speedwell Tavern is we got both. But promos. And I think the best promo we did, and I was like, when I first got into Plymouth, it was tough. There were a lot of really good restaurants in town, and then there was New World Tavern, and we were like, you know what, we got some competition in town. So it took us a little while to cut our teeth, but we wanted to get people introduced to the place. So one of the promos I did was basically give burgers away on Thursdays. It was Beer and Burger Thursday. $10. You got any draft beer and a burger for $10. And our burgers are half-pound certified Angus, not the cheap shit. And we've come a long way since then, and we don't really need to do that promo anymore. But we're coming up on our 5th year anniversary in November, and we're still doing that promo because we want to be loyal to the people that from day one came in. And that promo has pretty much been the backbone of Speedwell. It got us our regulars, it has kept us going, and I lose a lot of money doing it every Thursday, and I don't care because it gets asses in the seats and it's paying it forward. So that's the promo that's sort of pretty much jump-started the entire business.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely go back with what you both said is having the right people in there, especially for us where we don't have food or anything like that. We're really relying on you liking the person enough to come back that's serving you drinks. But I mean, we like to do kind of promotions and events that kind of get you to talk about us because we have an upstairs to our bar that many people have never been up to and don't know it's there. So it's something we're doing, and I feel confident telling this now because it's not till October. We're doing our second Nerf gun shooting range upstairs. Where we shoot empty beer cans with Nerf guns, and we have never had more people up there on a holiday weekend in the middle of the summer than when we shot Nerf guns at beer cans. So it's some stupid little things like that like you would never think you'd go to a bar and play that or play Nintendo or play Sega Genesis. So we kind of want you to leave here and talk about what we did and kind of give you a good time there. So October 20th, Nerf gun battle.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Actually, think about that. Like, think about going to a bar and being able to shirt.
It was last call 20 minutes ago. Stop talking.
Fucking Nerf guns, man. That's all right, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Bod Talk podcast. Again, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bar Talk Cast. And you can follow us at Bar Talk on Facebook. And you can email us more of those awesome questions. bartalkcast@gmail.com. I'd like to thank Lucioso's Pub, located on the Grist Mill in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Known for their wings, burgers, great service, awesome hospitality. Also like to thank Inebriart, Andy and Fish for having us. As always, Andy for handling the MCing of the Q&A. That was my snapping fingers. Thanks again for listening. Karl, Dan, signing off. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Don't forget to check out our other podcast. There's the Bar Talk podcast. There's Old Colony Cast. And, of course, the Inebriart podcast along with Jam Packed. You can find all those on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. If you're on some sort of service and you can't find it, let us know, and we'll help you out and or add our podcast to that too. You can contact us at inebriart@yahoo.com and follow us on Facebook as well as Twitter at Inebriart. And feel free to send us some tips, ideas, advice, hate mail, whatever it is, you can get us there. And again, thanks for listening.